It's Saturday evening, March 16th, 2013. At around 11:15 p.m. on the 𝐵𝐚𝐬straat in the Amsterdam west suburb of Slotervaart, residents are disturbed by what sounds like gunfire. When they look out of their windows, two men are seen calmly walking away. Nearby, a third man is bleeding heavily and lying on the pavement. Although paramedics attempt to resuscitate him, he dies of his injuries later that night. When police officers take a closer look at the victim, they do not recognize him immediately, as he had been shot in the head at close range. His hair is longer than in the photographs the police have distributed, but it is undeniably him. Rida Bennajem, the young robber from the western part of Amsterdam. Now, 10 days before his birthday, he is lying in a pool of blood, one of the most wanted gangsters in the Netherlands. The 21-year-old made a rapid career in organized crime. As such, he has the dubious honor of being the youngest person ever to appear on the Dutch list of most wanted persons. And this is his story. Rida's life starts off reasonably stable. He grows up on the 𝐵𝐴𝐺𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐦, around the corner from the Bos en Lommer Square in the western part of Amsterdam. When he walks out the door, he can see his elementary school and a little further down the mosque. There is not much for him outside the 250-meter radius around his home. He comes from a broken home, has learning difficulties, and does not always get along with other kids. As a teenager, Rida joins the 𝐵𝐴𝐺𝐬𝐭𝐚 group, a group of young troublemakers named by the police after their favorite hangout spot. The teenager is out on the street a lot. When he plays football, this rather quiet boy lights up. With his hands casually in his pockets, he is able to keep the ball in the air for long stretches of time, to the delight of the younger boys on the square. While he does not like school at all, he works at a local street market, but seems to be doing his own thing more and more. He begins to associate with boys who commit robberies or deal drugs. Over time, he adopts the wide posture of the tough guys from the Underworld, chest expanded and chin held high. And he has a certain look in his eyes, one that says, "No one can touch me." This gives him a certain standing in the area. One of the first bullets Rida fires makes national headlines straight away. It happens on June 6, 2011, in his own street, less than 60 yards from his front door. He gets into a fight with a local boy. He then walks back home, goes upstairs, and returns with a gun in his hand. Angry, he shoots immediately, hitting the victim in the leg. There are no judicial consequences, and he remains free to walk the streets. Less than 6 months later, Rida is standing in front of a jeweler's in Leiden, Haas Gold. This is not his first robbery, but it will change his life forever. It is midday, January the 11th, 2012. He enters the shop with two accomplices. His job is to hold the jeweler at gunpoint. The other two fill up their bags with jewelry, and they are back outside within minutes. But then everything goes wrong. The jeweler pursues the robbers. The three of them sprint towards the getaway moped, but its engine refuses to start. As the jeweler approaches, the boy shoots at him. In the meantime, the police arrive, and Rida shoots at them as well. All bullets, however, miss their target. The three then flee on foot in separate directions. Boys from Amsterdam West still tell the story of how Rida managed to shake off the police by slipping into a McDonald's, ordering fries, and staying out of sight. The robbery is a complete disaster. Accomplices Hassi Y and Issam E are soon caught and sentenced to 12 and 8 years imprisonment respectively. Most of the loot is recovered by the police, who, on the basis of telephone records, know that Bennajem was involved. This is how his face ends up on television, on the Dutch version of Crime Watch. Violent and unpredictable is how the police describe him. They offer a reward of €5,000 for the first person to break the Underworld code of Omerta. He also ends up on the national list of most wanted persons. By April, Rida has still managed to avoid arrest, but his money is running out. What follows next is the story as it is often told on the streets of Amsterdam, but remains officially unconfirmed. The Moroccan hitman Redouane Boutaka has to die, and there is a price on his head. Rida is approached by members of a crime group, recruited rather for the murder. He is persuaded, and on the evening of Sunday, April 22nd, he calmly walks into a shisha bar in the Van Woestraat in Amsterdam. He goes downstairs, where Redouane is sitting with his friends, walks up to him and pumps several bullets into his body, with dozens of witnesses looking on. Rida has become a foot soldier for the big boys, or so the story goes. The police never officially found the shooter in the cafe and do not say whether he is a suspect. A description of the suspect circulates: Moroccan, remarkably small and slight. Shortly after the killing, the police place Rida on an Interpol wanted list. He is described as a hitman, a killer, and most wanted. For his next assignment, he has to travel to Antwerp. He is given a role in a conflict over 200 kilos of cocaine between the renowned Amsterdam criminal 𝐕𝐚 M and Ben, the target of the 𝐕𝐧𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐦 shooting. Allegedly, the young man pockets around €30,000 from Ben to kill Najib Boubou, one of 𝐕𝐚's associates. And it so happens, on October the 18th of that year, in broad daylight, Boubou is shot twice in the head and twice in the chest, in front of the Crown Plaza Hotel in Antwerp. On December 29th, Ben himself becomes the target of a revenge killing in the western part of Amsterdam. Ben flees, but nephews Yusuf Lakoff and Saïd El Yazidi are killed. The wild shooting in the 𝐕𝐧𝐬𝐭𝐚 neighborhood is sometimes considered the starting point of the war in Amsterdam's underworld over the past decade, which later claimed many young victims. Rida's name is mentioned everywhere. Two conflicting stories go around in Bos en Lommer. The first, a slightly older story, goes as follows. He is the one who lured the black Range Rover containing Ben, Saïd, Yusuf, and a fourth blonde passenger to the location of the attack. The foursome have no idea there are foot soldiers waiting for them with AK-47s at the ready. Rida then takes Ben into an alley where they talk for a while, and when the target gets back into the Range Rover, he flees. Moments later, a heavy burst of gunfire is heard. Rida has defected, luring Ben into a trap, and in doing so, signing the death warrant of his good friend Saïd. On the streets, it is suggested that he felt he had waited too long for his reward for the liquidation in Antwerp. This version, however, is not accepted by many of the boys in the western parts of Amsterdam. They argue that Saïd and Rida really were very good friends, so he would not have taken part. Their version is that Rida was indeed present during the shooting, but that he was actually sitting in the Range Rover with his friend. Whatever the truth, his days seem numbered. In Bos en Lommer, more murders are expected, and it would surprise no one if Rida were next. The assignment to kill him could have come from several directions. He has only a few confidants left, is sought internationally by the police, and is no longer safe in the criminal underworld either. If only he had turned himself in after the robbery in Leiden. That would have meant he would have been released in his 30s. He could have made something of his life, instead of ending up in a cemetery in northern Morocco at the age of 21.